Hey, what's up guys? My name is Cameron Gallagher, and today I'm talking about the Pad Prompter from OneTakeOnly. So let's get into it. So one tool that has been around forever when it comes to the film production and live production world is a teleprompter. Now typically these have been used in a situation where it's usually live TV or some type of live event where someone's reading off a teleprompter. I mean, we've seen this with presidents and newscasters and all that kind of stuff. Now a lot of places also use cue cards when it comes to live or pre-recorded, but the biggest problem is if you're not far enough away from your subject, the subject can actually be seen looking to the left or right. And I guarantee as filmmakers, we have all run into that client who either wants some type of teleprompter or wants some type of card. So a few years back, I had a client who really wanted a teleprompter, and I didn't have a teleprompter at the time. So we had him read off like an iPad, and it did not work out at all. You could tell his eyes were like looking right above the camera the whole time. So I started to think about buying a teleprompter, but one of the things is when you look into a teleprompter, you immediately notice how incredibly expensive some of these are. I mean, most of the cheap ones are about $700, and some of the like real formal teleprompters are in the thousands. So for someone like me, I can't really see buying something that's $2,000–$3,000, or I'm gonna have to price that into a job. So anyway, after about a year and a half of kind of sitting on the idea, I basically had a job where it was going to come down to me getting the job or not getting the job, getting a teleprompter. Now there have been times in the past where I said, well, you know, a teleprompter would have been really handy because maybe it's just a one-liner, so they just need to make sure they have their line or they want notes or something. So it definitely does come in handy, but again, it was just that cost factor. So again, I wanted to get this job, so I did a little bit of research and I found a company called OneTakeOnly, and they make a device called the Pad Prompter. So anyway, I went ahead on basically a blind purchase. I purchased a Pad Prompter and I have been very, very happy since then. So again, OneTakeOnly has nothing to do with this. They did not send me this. I bought this with my own money and I'm very, very impressed. And I want to tell you guys about it because I think this could be very helpful for your video production company. So one of the reasons why the Pad Prompter is so much cheaper is because it uses an iPad as its basis. So one of the most expensive parts of a teleprompter is the fact that you need a computer and a screen and all of that kind of stuff wrapped up into something portable. Now the great part is that an iPad does that and it's very, very cheap. So now of course, if you're someone that doesn't have an iPad, I understand that yes, it's going to end up costing you more, but in all reality, you could get a really old iPad on eBay or something like that for probably like $100–$150. So the Pad Prompter works with pretty much any tablet or iPad. Now I personally use an iPad Air 2, but again, pretty much any tablet will work. So the Pad Prompter is a pretty sleek and simple design. It comes in a really nice carrying case, and when you pop it out, all you have to do is open it up, prop up the sides. Typically it's good to clean off the glass and then just drop in your iPad or whatever tablet you're using and you're pretty much good to go. So the way a teleprompter works is the glass is at a 45-degree angle in front of your camera, and what that allows is for the reflection to show up, so someone like me could actually see it. I'm not using it now, but someone like me sitting here looking at the camera can see all the text on screen, but the camera, because of the angle, cannot see any of it. So again, it creates an illusion that your subject is looking directly into the camera, even though they're actually reading. So the Pad Prompter also has what's basically called like a donut, and it wraps around your lens, so it makes sure there's no reflections from behind, because if you did have any reflections from behind, it would completely mess it up, and then you could get lens flares or light leaks. So just make sure when you are using this that the donut is around the lens tightly. It's also good to maybe put a black solid behind your camera. Okay, so now your teleprompter set up, but what about the iPad? So there's a ton of teleprompter apps. Some are free, some are paid, but the one I use is the Teleprompter app. It's pretty basic, it's like a blue app. And one of the big selling points for me was, although it is a paid app, I think it was a couple dollars, it has all the great features of color changes, so you can change the color of the text, the speed of the text. But one of the biggest things that I loved was the fact that you could actually use your phone or your Apple Watch as a controller. So one of the great parts, again, of using an iPad is I can actually write everything on my Mac, so I could write the script or I could copy the script from an email. And because Apple supports a copy and paste over devices, I can copy it in an email or copy it in notes, and then I can paste it right on the iPad inside of the teleprompter software. Once it's pasted inside there, I can format it however I want. I can make the text bigger, I can make it slower or faster, the color, all that kind of stuff. Once it's ready, I just slide it in the teleprompter and I'm good to go. Now again, I can click play right on the teleprompter, but because the teleprompter app has the phone ability, it's just so nice that I can use my phone, I can stand back, I can click play, I can restart it. Now before you jump out there and go buy a teleprompter, there's a few few things you want to keep in mind when shooting with a teleprompter. One of the biggest things is the distance from your subject as well as the focal length that you're using. So one of the biggest ways that you can really help sell a teleprompter and make it look like the person isn't reading is by being a little bit further away and a little bit wider. Making text bigger, moving the camera further away, and having a wider lens is going to really help sell that. So just make sure that when you are shooting with something with a teleprompter, you're not so zoomed in where you can easily see their eyes moving back and forth. It's common, a lot of people do that stuff all the time. The next thing you're going to do is make sure you do a couple dry runs with the talent. They may not be used to reading off a teleprompter, they may be inexperienced, they may really like the idea of a teleprompter, but they've never tried it. So just give it a couple run-throughs. Of course, I would record just in case they do it perfectly. But again, give it a couple run-throughs and see what speed works best for them. And when it comes to the pad prompter, there are two different versions. There's the light stand version and there's the rails version. This is really an up to you choice. The rails version is a little more expensive, coming in at $399, where this light stand one is only $279, and honestly to me, I think the light stand one is a better way to go. So all you have to do is just have a separate light stand. I just have one of those really cheap economic stands. I just screw it into the bottom, set it up in front of my camera, and boom, I'm good to go. I understand where the rails could come in handy because again, it's all on the camera. If you have like maybe a big rig or something where you can't really get that close, I think it's maybe worth it, but really you're saving quite a bit of money just by going with the light stand version. But anyway, these teleprompters can be a really huge part of your gear arsenal. It's definitely one of the things that now I can sell to clients when I'm going into a job saying, hey, you know what, well, we can use a teleprompter for this, or we can use a teleprompter for that. Sometimes it just makes clients feel much better. And some of those people that maybe aren't so good on camera or they're not great at remembering lines, it's a great way to feed them the lines they need without it looking like they're reading off something. I do a lot of interview style setups where the person's looking off camera, whether it's left or right. But sometimes it doesn't always work and you want them to look directly into the camera. And again, that's where the teleprompter comes in such good handy. I typically don't use it for YouTube videos, but I have in the past on a few. It's nice to be able to have bullet points or maybe just like talking points that you want to make sure you hit. Or if you're someone who's not good at speaking at all, of course, you could completely read off the teleprompter if that works for you. So it's also great for YouTubers and anyone maybe that's talking in front of the camera quite often. Where I think the teleprompter comes in the most handy is educational purposes. Typically where you have a video where your client is teaching someone something and they have to make sure they hit very specific steps, where from a legal standpoint, a lawyer or whoever's speaking has to say something very specifically. And the great thing is too is the pad prompter is so easy to carry around. It's small, it's got its own little bag, which I really like. My iPad just slips right in the bag with it, so it's just easy to bring along with me. So I've been really happy with the pad prompter. Really, there's like no gripe. I mean, I will say it is a little bit of plastic, so I would say if you dropped it or something like that, it probably wouldn't last too long. But again, for $279 compared to hundreds or thousands of dollars, like I think it really does pay itself. Be sure to check out the link down below for the pad prompter as well as the teleprompter app. I'll also try to give some free alternatives. I'm also going to leave 2 DIY videos down below in case you want to build your own prompter. I don't totally recommend doing that. I think they can be kind of janky and they can look kind of weird. But if it's something where you're just using it at home and you're only using it on one camera, they can definitely work. But anyway guys, thanks for watching and I'll catch you guys later.